Okay, in this video we're going to do adding hex and hex subtraction. Now for adding hex, basically it's you're remembering your letters and which number they represent again. So A is 10, B is 11 and so on until you get to F, which is 15. So when you're adding hex in a column, you can go up to 15 in each column. So basically you're making a group of 16. So if you go here, you've got 2E99, BBC9. So what you do is if we go over here, where I've kind of set it out how you do it. If you have 9 and 9 is 18. Now you can only make a group of 16. So basically you're going to have 16 and 2. So put your remainder here, well your 2, and then you have to carry 1 on to your next column. So basically you can't have more than 16. So you have to put 2 in there, because 16 take away from 18 leaves you with 2. So you put that there and you carry your 1, and you're basically just doing the same here. So if you go 9 plus 12 and plus your 1 gives you 22. So you're left with 16 and 6. So you put your what you have left down at the bottom for your answer to that column. And then basically you're just doing the same again. You just have to remember you're making groups of 16. It can't be any more than that in each column. If you go to your next one, obviously you carry your 1 over again. So you have E plus B and then plus your 1. So I'll give you 26 altogether. So it'll be 16 and remainder 10. Now because you're hex, you put A for 10 because A represents 10 in hex. And because you weren't over again, you're not adding on again. So it's 2 plus B, and that leaves you with E, because E is 14, so you've got to remember to change your numbers into hex if it's from 10 to 15. So if I go over this again, basically you can't have more than 16 in a column, so you have to put whatever you've got left there, and then you carry on basically your group of 16 into each next column. If you go into my riddle tutorial, it's more laid out better for you if you're struggling to understand. Now if we go to hex subtraction, so if we do this one here, which is A213 take away 5B97. Now I've done it here, I've circled the ones that's actually your question. So what happens here is if you can't take away something, you borrow from the next column, but then you have to add 16 to the one that you couldn't borrow in the first place. So if we go here, you can't take 12 away from 3. So what happens is you go over to your column and you had 1, so you would take away 1 from that, which will leave you with nothing. And then you go back here and you plus 16 to what you couldn't borrow from in the first place. So now your answer is 19 take away 12. So if you do that here, that leaves you with 7. So now if you go back over here, you've got 0. So you can't take 0 away from 7. So you go over here to your next number in your column and you take away 1, and then you add 16 to what you couldn't, the column you couldn't borrow from in the first place. So now it's 16 take away 7. So leaves you with 9. And then you go to your next column. So now because you had to borrow from this, it's now 1 take away 11. So obviously you can't do that. So you've got to go over to your column again, borrow again, so that one becomes 9. And then you add on a 16 to the column you couldn't borrow from in the first place. So now your question's turned into 17 take away 11. So that leaves you with 6. And then you go back to your next column. So now because you borrowed again, it's 9 take away 5, which leaves you with 4. So your answer's 4, 6, 9, 7. So basically if you borrow from a column, you take away your number like usual, but the one you couldn't borrow from, you're adding 16 to whatever that was. So basically all you have to remember, if you borrow, you have to add 16 to the one you couldn't borrow in the first place. Any other questions, go to my written tutorial in my app, which will hopefully help you out a lot more.